want to make it as sticky as possible, but you need that sizzle, that like, wow, I need this. Be like a cockroach, survive no matter what. You're getting a lot of good feedback on why they didn't want to use it. They're like, it doesn't have this, it doesn't have that feature. I mean, the way that I look at startups, it's a long game. And, a lot of companies are very consumer centric. And I think that's a good thing. I think healthcare can be a little consumer centric. I mean, the way that I think about it is like, how do you create a delightful experience that makes people want to use the product? And I talk about like sizzle a lot, the wow thing that makes people want to use a product. And, whether it's like fintech or healthcare or biotech or anything, I think you need to have something that makes people go, wow. And I'll give you a really good example. Tony Fadell, the creator of the iPod, I met him like several times in the past and we had some really great conversations. But I remember me sitting down with him at like a coffee shop and him saying like, I want to like change what a thermostat is. And I'm like, why and how would you do that? And he literally, he saw something that no one else saw, which was the future of the thermostat being internet connected. And the only reason why he thought that way was because he started to travel the world and he wanted to just like change his thermostat like from a remote location. And he wanted to like have a nice experience when you touch it and you feel it. And whatever industry you're in, you need to do that. So it applies to your industry also. And I think a lot of people in enterprise businesses, they forget that and they don't want to delight the user. So you want to create something where you're delighting the user to get them engaged. And, when you look at like Apple, the look and the feel of the device like makes people want to just touch it. And of course, there's a lot of competitors now, but they all copied a lot of like that material design, those like elements, the colors, like the flat screen. It all applies to any industry. And when people say, how do you get customers to me? I'm like, it's not as complex as you would think. It's like the easier you make it, the better the sales cycle. And that's just the way that I thought about it always. But in enterprise, it's a longer game. It's not like you're just going to get customers you can get customers day one, but it's not going to be like a fast social network where it can like rise really fast because you have something that no one else has at the moment. And the good thing about the industry and enterprise, it's like, it doesn't always just go away fast. So like the one thing about like a lot of the AI companies that are out there, they're a feature, not a platform. So just think of it long-term as you want to build a platform and not just a feature. You want to make it as sticky as possible, but you need that sizzle, that like, wow, I need this. I want this and I want to use this. Like you need to like show that value very quickly with a really simple interface. I was talking to somebody about this one startup yesterday and they were so impressed with the startup and the way that they designed their UI that like they couldn't stop talking. They don't even work for the company. And they were like, the interface is so well thought out. It's like the interface just closes deals. And they were talking about how they wanted their startup to be like that startup. And I looked at the interface and it was really simple and really like you understand it without even getting any training. And I'm like, that's a really good way to design. And if you can do that, deals will come. And it's easier said than done. It's way easier said than done. What's like, name one company that like you absolutely love using today. And name like one software vendor like that you absolutely love using. It's in your head. Don't look at the competitors in your industry, though. Just hyper fixate on the ones you like and be like, why are they working? I need to be like that. As weird as it sounds, like don't look in the industry. And a lot of people go, you need to look at your competitors. Like it's just a thing. You need to look at your competitors. Don't do that. It's not about the competitors. It's about like the thing that works for you is going to work for other people. And you just apply it and make it work for the industry that you're in. And I just would think that way. So like I would always think about like the things that I want to use, I need to provide that to the people I'm trying to sell to, that same experience. And that's where you win. Whatever qualities are in those products, put those into yours immediately. And it's going to reflect in sales. And it doesn't have to be in the industry you're in. And I would always like, it sounds so silly. Like when I think about products, like whenever I go to a mall, I look in the mall and I'm like, what in this environment? It sounds really crazy. It's like, what in this environment like delights me? And why is it selling so fast? There's a line whenever I go to the mall for Monster glasses. I've never heard of them before. You go to the mall and there's a line out the door and I'm like, what is it about this place that's like getting people in there? I see it. Like you walk around and you look and you go, I see what they're doing. They're doing things so differently. It's not like a lens crafters. And it's the same thing with like toys. Like there's a lot of new toys that are coming out. And I look at the toys that are coming out and I'm like, why is Lego still so predominant? And I walk in the store and they've got like licensing agreements with Marvel, Harry Potter. They're creating dinosaurs. Like they're doing all of this stuff that's so different. They had like art pieces. Like you had like literally it was like a Monet painting. Like you could hang it on your wall. It's a Lego. What is Lego doing to like get that flywheel going forever? And I'm like, they're doing movies. They're doing all of this stuff. And it's like, what do you need to do to bring whatever all these companies are doing into like the field you're in? You want to start from the lowest common denominator and then move upwards. And what I mean by the lowest common denominator, like who is the first user you can get as a decision maker that would buy something immediately? These really large organizations that sell to really large organizations, that's going from top down to bottom. That to me is harder sell, longer sales cycle. You want to go upward like what Salesforce did. Penetration is way easier and sales cycles are faster. If you go top down low, you're going to be waiting a year or 2 years for a deal to close. I'm not saying this is wrong. This is the way I think about it. The faster the sales cycle, the better off you are as a startup because you're getting constant feedback. Smallest common denominator, get fast sales cycles, get iterative, make sure they don't churn. Make sure the customer is using the product every week, every single week. And then you do it and rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat. Like if you go after the large guys and try to sell to them, you're going to need to spend a lot of time like flying to them, convincing them you're not going to go away. Just basically hearing their requirements. And then you have to get buy-in from like, in my head, a large enterprise is like 3 to 25 people. Have to all be on the same page to get a contract signed. If you can get one user to give you a credit card, that's gold. That's golden for me. It's like sales cycles like that are way better for me. And that's the way that I think about it. There are pros and cons to both. Like, I don't think my approach is totally right for everybody. There's pros and cons to, you want the sales cycle that is fast. You want to get credit cards quickly. You want to make sure that the customer starts using it. And like if they tell you they don't want to use it and they're going to churn, that's really bad. That's really, really bad. Fix it like fast. The nice thing about it, a large enterprise, is it might be harder for them to churn. They might use the product for like a year and then they just realize it's not for them. When you first start out, you want to have that buyer have the credit card. So that's what I focused on, is who is the buyer who can make a decision in 2 phone calls, and it's up to them. You know, that's just the way that I thought about it. It's, can you do 1 phone call or 2 or 3 and get a credit card? Or like a contract signed, just a contract signed. Like, we promise to pay you whatever in 6 months, $12,000. Smaller, faster decision makers who can sign a deal on the phone with you. So that means the smaller you go, the better for now, like as a early stage startup. This is not the case as you go along the journey. Like Salesforce now sells to enterprises, but they started with the smaller guys, and it's in their DNA now. They'll still sell you 1 license to 1 person of Salesforce. Like, they still have that DNA in them where they'll go to a startup that has 1 guy and they'll say, would you like an instance of Salesforce? And they'll charge what they charge, but then like they'll go to like a team of 100,000 people now and they'll do the same thing where they'll do that. So like, but they have the fortitude to survive longer to make the sell to the 100,000 person group. Versus like, you know what I mean? Before, they probably couldn't have done that when they first started Salesforce. But delight 1 user, get that 1 user using it, get constant feedback on that. And I think that's the right approach. Now, I've known a lot of founders who went the opposite way and still succeeded. It's just not the way that I operate, if that makes sense. It's like different founder, different operating style. Some founders will go out and close a $200,000 deal in like 2 months. But the problem with that is then they're building features for a company that's large And then you can't quite close the smaller guy because you built all these complex features. So you're immediately starting with like a more robust, bigger product, but you can't like scale it to the one user. So like for me, it's like go up market. You can make it for the one user and build out for the enterprise as you go. I view it as a stepping stone where if you get one user happy, you can get 10. If you can get 10 users happy, you can get 20. So like you're building it for delight for the one user. Once you have it, you can go to a 10 user group and say, this is a delightful product with confidence because we have whatever 5 users that are at one user groups using this. Like, so you can make it way more delightful for larger groups. Every founder knows what's right for them. Like, you should just follow your gut. And maybe having those conversations with the larger customers who are interested is still a good customer. Just follow your gut. Don't always listen to me is what I'm saying. It's like just you're the founder, you're running your company, you understand if this deal you want to learn from them. Like some large deals you may know that you may not close it, but at least it's a process of learning. Like you're getting a lot of good feedback on why they didn't want to use it. They're like, it doesn't have this, it doesn't have that feature. And you're like, okay, noted. Now I know what to do for the next one. So not every like large customer is a waste of time. Optionality and customer base is really important also. Like just remember that, like talk to small, talk to large, like optionality. Because like a large business may not show you all of the frayed issues happening in the company. But when you talk to one user, they're going to be honest. They're going to tell you directly, like they might not tell you directly. But when you're asking for cash, they're going to be like, it doesn't work for me because of ... A large company may just say, we're going to punt this because the budgeting. And it may not be budgeting. They might have like 6 people that just say no internally. You know, it's so you're not always going to get like the answer you want to hear. There's no right or wrong answer. It's like there's no right formula. You just have to hustle every day. Everyone is trying to get customers in that space, right? In all these spaces. And it's like you just have to hustle, like inbound, outbound, doesn't matter. You just have to like hustle nonstop to get people interested in like what you're working on. If they come inbound, that's great. But don't rely on just that. Have a lot of different ways to make sure you have like lead flow. One concern is like some conferences are good and others are really bad. So just be careful also, like not to just over conference. Like if you become a social butterfly at conferences and you're burning $20,000 per conference and you get no leads, just careful you don't too many. You have to go, like, you know, some industries you have to go and do that, but don't buy a massive booth for $50,000 because it can kill a startup really fast. I know a lot of startups that do that and they're in bad spots. Like they push themselves really hard. They burn bright, but then the return is really low. Be like a cockroach, survive no matter what. So like that means like go to a conference, don't buy a booth. That means go to a conference, network at every booth with everybody there. In the early days of a startup, you don't want to buy a booth all of the time because one, it locks you in to one location, and then like you can't go around talking to people, and 2, it's expensive. So like pick your battles. Like if you're going to go to a conference, just buy a ticket and then just promise yourself you're going to make it worth your while and just network with everybody in all of the different places. One really great place to go is just like look where the bar is or the food, because everybody goes over there. So like just situate yourself near that, and then you can network with everyone that way, and just like you get a lot of input that way. I mean, one thing I like to do at conferences is go walk around and grab flyers and just like look at what people are doing. Go over to competitors. Who cares? That's one thing that I never was scared of, is just talk to your competitors. You might actually have a really good partnership. You'd be surprised. Like you may not have competitors, maybe you do, but it's like, you know, if you go to a conference, like, which a lot of people in enterprises do, you know, just don't be scared to talk to competitors and shake their hand and be like, I'm in the same industry, and you learn things as you like talk to your competitors also. I mean, for me, like there's this really great event and I was invited to it in Napa. And I'm like, is it worth my time? The hotel room is $600 a night, but there's no ticket and there's going to be a lot of people that are like relevant. So maybe it's worth it. So like there are pros and cons, and I'm in like an hour and a half from Napa. So like I could drive there and the burn for the company is not so high. So it's like you're playing these like different sides where it's like, how much do you want to spend? You know, where I get worried for startups is you see startups like they buy a big booth at a conference because they raised a lot of funding. And then you see this massive booth, which everybody goes to, but you may not get the conversion that you want. It's an unsettling feeling when companies are burning too much and they may not get the return. I actually have seen a lot of companies go out of business that have done that. They raise a lot of money, they get excited, they get zealous, They get this massive booth, and then like 2 years later, they're bankrupt. It happens over and over again. This is another thing that's really dangerous is pivot hell. They pivot nonstop to the point where like they just do nothing and they just kind of stagnate. I think it's the unreasonable make a lot of progress in startups. Hard pivots are really hard on a company. Not that it's bad. It's just, you just don't know if it's actually going to ever work. Like it took Figma 6 years to get to product market fit. Like, but they were getting there. Notion, it took them like 4 or 3 years. I don't know if you know that. It took them a long time to get to product market fit. I take a long view on it. It's like, it's going to take time. So like, if you really want to do the startup you're working on, just assume it's going to be a 12-year run. Just be mentally prepared for that. There's no like magic exit coming. There's no magic customer coming. It's a grind of getting customers and figuring it out as you go. So just be prepared for that.